President Biden announcing his solution to the growing supply chain crisis. Now, he's saying he has companies like Walmart and Federal Express agreeing to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that Americans can get those products they need.
He also used the press conference yesterday to plug his Build Back Better agenda and infrastructure bill.
All right, joining us now to discuss is Chris Markowski, host of the Watchdog on Wall Street radio show. Barack Lurie, though, also joining us, Republican strategist Angela Stanton King, and founder and president of American King Foundation. Good to see everybody here. Let me start with this. The president saying his administration has been working on supply chain, this crisis, for months now, even though we just heard about it, and now they're getting everyone involved to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Here's that.
After weeks of negotiation and working with my team and with the major union retailers and freight movers, the Port of Los Angeles announced today that it's going to begin operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Angela Stanton King, does that sound like a fresh approach?
Let's just be honest here and just tell the truth. This is happening because of the vaccine mandates that this president and his administration has put in place. If you are enforcing all of these people to get a mandatory vaccination or saying you're going to lose your job, people are walking off, people are quitting, you don't have the manpower, and this is why we're behind. It's time that we stop lying to Americans, we tell them the truth, and get rid of this current administration that we have that is absolutely destroying America. We're watching it crumble right before our eyes.
Yeah, the Biden administration again citing that supply chain crisis. They say they've got a plan to handle it. But Chris, does telling Americans to buy early really help this situation? Is that going to be the final answer?
No, and it's much, much bigger than that. And I agree that the vaccine mandates haven't helped by any stretch of the imagination, but also it's just stupid government regulations. Speaking with some truckers today involved in this business, trucking companies, people wanting to come back into the workforce that might have even been retired. It takes upwards of 8 weeks to get your licensing and your permitting to actually drive a truck. You can have those ports running 24 hours a day, but there's no place to put the containers. The reality is we don't have enough truckers on the road right now. We've caused all sorts of problems and disincentives to work throughout this entire COVID crisis, and we're trying to get through it. So they can negotiate till they're blue in the face. It's not going to do a darn thing unless you get the truckers back.
Yeah. Also, Barack, the other issue here is gas prices on the rise that we've seen. I mean, a lot of people are feeling this, and I hate to use it, but the pain at the pump, right? Everyone's seen it. You're moving into the holiday season. Your groceries are going up. Now you got families visiting you for the holidays. I'm thinking, I know we've got Halloween coming up. I'm thinking about Thanksgiving. If you're planning a Thanksgiving feast, I'm going to guess it's going to cost you a lot more than it did last year. Barack.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I think that's so spot on, and that's such a great example of exactly the issue of how this is a problem of Biden's own making, something that he could have easily avoided. Instead, what we're getting is the same sort of attention and planning, and I put that in air quotes, with regard to the Afghanistan pullout and the immigration crisis on the border. We're really seeing nothing, no planning whatsoever. Something that these are incredibly unforced errors. The gas pump, of course, is one of them. And then all the checks that are being sent out to people, incentivizing them not to work. And the vaccine mandates, as we were discussed as well. These things create a supply shock, and they simply cannot be undone overnight. It's and the fact that Biden wants to encourage buying, it only will lead to panic buying at the end of the day, which will create a tremendous amount of inflation.
Yeah, well, there were a record number of people who left their jobs recently. And of course, this is a time when you've got worker shortages, right? You've got plenty of businesses
more than 4 million
with for hire signs in their windows. Okay, Chris, Barack, and Angela, please stay with us. Another topic to get to on the other side of this break.
Yeah, one state attorney general urging the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade. Details next on National Report.
Okay, our panelists are standing by, and they're back with us now. Chris Markowski, Barack Lurie, Angela Stanton King. Let's read out another bit of what the Attorney General had to say in her brief. She said this, quote, "When this court returns this issue to the people can debate, adapt, and find workable solutions. It will be hard for the people too, but under the Constitution, the task is theirs, and the court should return it to them." Angela, your thoughts on where this case might go, when it comes to the Supreme Court, what it means for Roe v. Wade, and what it could mean for states and their own decisions when it comes to abortion laws within their state.
You know, it's amazing that they want to give a voice to everyone except the voiceless, which is the unborn child that is trying to exist, that wants to live. Everyone's making a decision for someone else's life. I will be in Washington, D.C. on December 1st alongside my godmother, Alveda King. And of course, we'll be standing to protect the civil rights of the unborn. We definitely need to readdress this issue in America, especially since we know that Democrats voted to not only keep abortion legal, but to terminate a baby all the way up until the moment of birth. We know that this is murder. I don't think that it should necessarily be in the hands of the states. I think we need to readdress the whole issue and see whether or not, hey, is this a life? And is abortion a fundamental right? And if it is, to who?
A court case decided in the early 70s, yet here we are, 2021, having this discussion. Chris Markowski, does that surprise you that we are still within this discussion here, some however many decades later?
Yeah, it's one of those, like entitlements. It tends to be one of those third rail of American politics types of a situation. And I give credit for the Attorney General actually even wading into this debate. And she makes a very good legal argument. Now, I'm a libertarian. I'm a 10th Amendment guy, and I believe in states' rights. And I do think, on its merits, you take a look at it, this should be left up to the states. My concern right now is you taking a look at the Biden, they call it $3.5 trillion. It's more $5-6 trillion spending package, which basically would force taxpayers to fund abortions. And I think that's completely out of line. It's basically circumnavigating the Hyde Amendment, which I think is wrong.
And Senator Joe Manchin also agrees with that. He was saying that was his red line, not only just the price tag, but also including the Hyde Amendment or eliminating it. Barack, talk to me again about what we've seen already when it comes to these abortion laws. We've seen the Texas heartbeat bill. That was met with a lot of pushback from, I guess, pro-choice activists. And yet when it went up to the Supreme Court, it was dismissed. The challenges, of course, based on technicalities, not so much the law here. But what do you think that could imply for December 1st when, again, we're going to see this major case ahead of the Supreme Court?
Right. It's very interesting. It's an injunction specifically regarding the Texas law that was shot down. So they decided that it could not be enjoined pending the actual final decision of the United States Supreme Court. We have to keep in mind that this Roe v. Wade decision really is it's like a house that has a very poor foundation from the get-go. It's never going to be good. It's never going to work. This house will never function. And that's the problem with Roe, because they decided to legislate this. We call it lock and rising in law, to actually legislate from the bench. And that's where the foundation really flawed, and where it's all falling apart at this point. It needs to go back to the states. One of two things must happen in order to clarify this. Either they decide to simply undo Roe v. Wade altogether, or Congress decides to take it up and make its own legislative act, or finally, I suppose, give it all back to the states. That's the only way that we will finally have an end to this madness called Roe v. Wade, which has really been a horror ever since it started in the first place.
Let me give really quick 20 seconds to Angela. Should it go back to the states?
I really don't have an answer on that. I think that the whole situation just needs to be readdressed, because here's the thing. Abortion is racist, and it's an admitted, Planned Parenthood is an admitted racist organization when they decided to step away from Margaret Sanger, her name, but they didn't step away from the action. Since abortion has been put in place, nearly 46% of the black population has been aborted. So we're talking about the issue of murder, or we're talking about the issue of life, especially when you have all of these activists saying Black Lives Matter. We need to understand that Black life begins in the womb.
All right, we're out of time for this conversation with our panelists, Chris Markowski, Barack Lurie, Angela Stanton King. Thank you all so much. We appreciate the conversation.
A new hour of National Report starts right now.